Lesson 13.14, we're identifying conics again, but this time it's from the general/standard form, and that means it doesn't have any parentheses. We talked about how they always go in this order of something x squared plus or minus something y squared plus or minus something x plus or minus something y, and then a constant, and it's equal to 0. And we've talked about how we convert them. Here's the best way you're going to know which is which. If only there's one quadratic term, only something being squared, if you're having trouble with knowing what quadratic means, only one term has a second power, that means it's a parabola. And that means, remember, it opens up or down or side to side. And then step 2 to look for is quadratic terms with the same sign, meaning positive or negative. So if they're the same sign where they're both positive, if the coefficients, the number in front, are identical, then it's a circle. If the coefficients of the numbers in front are different, then it's an ellipse. And then if they're both quadratic terms, but they have different signs, one's a positive, one's a negative, that's a hyperbola. That's where we said there's something minus something else, like x minus h squared over a squared minus y minus k squared over b squared. There's that minus that tells us what it is. Okay, so number 1, if I'm looking at all these terms, I see 2 things that are being squared. So that takes out that it could be a parabola. That's not even an option, but it definitely is a conic section. We've got 2 things being squared. See how they're both positive? That means that it's either a circle or an ellipse, and then the coefficients are identical. So difference between basically a circle and an ellipse, a circle, it's kind of like a square, how all the sides are the same or it's got the same radius, where an ellipse is an oval. It's been stretched to where it's either longer or taller. So that helps me remember that if it's a different x squared than a y squared, that means it's been stretched to make it an ellipse. So this one would happen to be a circle because it's just a 1x squared and a 1y squared. Number 2, I see 2 terms being squared, and I see them both being positive, so it could be a circle, but the numbers in front are different, so that means it's being stretched. It would actually be a taller value since it's a bigger coefficient on the y squared, so that would be an ellipse. Number 3, I see only one term being squared, so that would be a parabola. And number 4, I see an x and a y being squared, but I see one being a negative and one being a positive. So that automatically tells me it's a hyperbola. And then the last one, I don't see anything being squared, so that means it's not even a conic section. So use these as much as you need to until hopefully you get to a point where you just can figure them out without looking at your notes.